in a brand new way. The full story of America from the Puritans forward, presented along what we call the generational diagonal, the life cycle course, childhood through old age, lived by the discrete birth year groups we define as generations. We identify 18 such generations through 4 centuries of American history, dating back to the first New World colonists. Among these generations, we find important recurring personality patterns, specifically 4 types of peer personalities that have, in all but one case, followed each other in a fixed order. We call this repeating pattern the generational cycle. The cycle lies at the heart of our story and offers, we believe, an important explanation for why the story of America unfolds as it does. Read together, our 18 generational biographies present a history of the American life cycle and a history of cross-generational relationships. These relationships between parents and children, between midlife leaders and youths coming of age, between elders and their heirs, depict history as people actually live it, from growing up in their teens to growing old in their 70s. One of these 18 American generations, of course, is yours. All but the very oldest or very youngest of our contemporary readers belong to one of the following 4 generations. G.I. elders, born 1901 to 1924, age 66 to 89 as 1991 begins. Silent midlifers, born 1925 to 1942, age 48 to 65. Boomer rising adults, born 1943 to 1960, age 30 to 47. 13er youths, born 1961 to 1981, age 9 to 29. In this book, we describe what we call the peer personality of your generation. You may share many of these attributes, some of them, or almost none of them. Every generation includes all kinds of people. Yet, as we explain in Part 1, you and your peers share the same age location in history, and your generation's collective mindset cannot help but influence you, whether you agree with it or spend a lifetime battling against it. For the moment, let's suppose you share your peers' mindset. If so, here is how you might respond to the message of this book. If you are a GI, your own collegial identity is so powerful and has left such a colossal lifelong imprint on America's political, social, and economic institutions that you tend to see older and younger generations as ineffectual facsimiles of your own. You may therefore resist our contention that other living generations are intrinsically different. But make no mistake, GIs have a distinct character. Of all 4 of our basic peer personalities, your civic type is probably the most crisply defined, and the boundaries separating GIs from the lost and the silent are among the most compelling in American history. As firm believers in public harmony and cooperative social discipline, many of you might read into this book's plural title a disturbing message of discord. Possessed of a hubris born of youthful optimism fulfilled, perhaps you will puzzle over one of our core premises, that generations, like people, can relate to one another in ways which may not be mutually beneficial. Collectively, you GIs grew up so accustomed to being looked upon and rewarded as good, constructive, and deserving that you have had trouble later in life understanding how others might be viewed and treated differently, and how others might view themselves differently. All aging civic generations have had this trouble, including the peers of Cotton Mather and James Blair in the late 1720s, and the peers of Thomas Jefferson and James Madison in the early 1820s. Yours is a rationalist generation. In the tradition of the 18th century patriot scientist Benjamin Rush, civics have always come of age believing that history does or should move in orderly straight lines. For much of your life cycle, this attitude brought you hope. In old age, it brings you mostly despair.